team it is once again Sunday, brand new year starting off 2025 with a fresh new ETF and MAXLIST review. Let's dive in. We look at the ETFs to see industry group themes. If we see a really strong ETF, we could buy that ETF, but we could also look for stocks in that group that comprise that ETF for buying opportunities to make money. So ARK Innovation is just kind of our ARK Next Generation is just basing here. It's kind of choppy though, and you can see there's been some distribution on the weekly and some on the daily. Picked up a little bit on the weekly right here, but there's no real clean entry here, okay? It is showing strength, but not a clean entry at this point in time. So let's move on here. Biotech. Folks, I just did an explanation on ARK Innovation. You look at this and you go, ain't nothing there. That's exactly right. It's below all the moving averages, leave it alone. That's simple. What's that tell us? Stay away from biotech. Done. Energy's picking up, but you can see there was some serious selling here on the weekly, and it's coming back, but there's a ton of overhead supply. Be careful with energy stocks. Move on. And see, that's powerful stuff to know, folks. What to look for and what to stay away from. Dow Jones Internet, it's picking up a little bit. It's basing. I like that it's found support on the 8-week and it lifted off here, but not a lot of volume. But it just tells us, hey, Internet doesn't look too bad. Maybe look into some Internet stocks. There we go. Let's continue onwards. IBD 50 has been languishing, but it finally started to show a little life here at the end of the week, okay? NVDA can be a big part of that move, by the way. And yeah, we're involved with NVIDIA, but no real clean entry here. Some power, but not a tremendous amount of power. And it's not really trending yet either, okay? So just something to be aware of the IBD 50. Gold miners are lagging. Look at the weekly, look at the daily. Stay away from them. It's that simple. We don't, oh, maybe this is it. Why? Why play the maybe game? Focus on strength. Don't focus on maybe, oh, maybe this is the bounce. Ton of overhead supply on it too with gold miners. Just stay away from it. Let's move on. Gold's lagging also. It needs to get over the 50-day, and it needs to get over the 50-day with volume. Also note, you look at the charts, charts talk to us right here. It tells us, oh, on the weekly, it runs up and fades off. It runs up and fades off, or runs up and gaps down. Here you go. Runs up, gaps down, runs up, gaps down. It tells us gold, there's sellers up there. Be careful with gold and gold stocks. Now, that's good to know, I think. It's powerful to know. Microsector SFANG, hanging in. It's a little choppier here, but it's starting to show a little life on the weekly. That's good. You could punch up FNGU and see if there's anything in that group that could be a candidate. Admission winners, we systematize. Let's move on. Cybersecurities, it's acting okay. It's kind of choppy here. Okay, and you say, hey, wait, that's a good green bar. I'd like to show you something. I thought this at the IBD meetups for years. Oh, it's a green bar on volume. Look at where it opened. It gapped up, ran up, and closed below where it opened. Closed in the bottom half of its range. What's that on pickup and volume? Tells us that they were selling there. Be a little careful with cybersecurity. There you go. Let's move on. Biotechnology's lagging bad. Weekly and daily, stay away from biotechnology. Online retail's acting okay. Okay. I'd like to see this start to pick up. You can say, well, that's a good bar there. Take a note. It gapped up, it ran up, and closed below where it opened. It needs to show some power up in here. Big component of this, what is it, folks? Amazon. Okay, so not a lot of power here. Just be a little cautious with that sector. Software technology is lagging a little bit, needs to show some power. Okay, needs to get up here over the 50-day with volume. And until then, be a little careful with software technology. Medicine, lagging. Medicine needs medicine. There's not a lot of power here. Look at the selling volume. Just be a little cautious with medicine. That's simple. Mid-cap, lagging. I mean, lagging. Look at the daily here. Look at the weekly. Be careful with mid-cap stocks. All right. By the way, I'm not being negative. I'm not being bearish. No, I'm just pointing out what is. Areas of strength, the areas of weakness. So it sounds negative. No, we bought some stocks this week. Okay. One of them is a little company called NVIDIA. Anyway, aerospace, defense, below the moving averages. Be careful with aerospace and defense. Done. Homes construction. Look at that. Dropping hard. This is why you never argue with price. It's like, oh, it's good right here. Oh, look, it fell, but not bad. Oh, we'll stay with it. Oh, it's below the 50-day on a pickup in volume. I think it's going to be okay. We'll stay with it. And you own it. Say you own it around 123 to 124. Here it is at 102. That's called a haircut in the business, and that's not good. Stay away from. there's an important lesson here. Don't argue with price. Don't impose your will on the stock. Let price and volume action guide your action. S&P 500 growth lifting up here a little bit. Looks decent on the weekly. What does that tell you? Oh, growth's coming back a little bit. It's above the 50-day. It's above the 21 EMA and the 8 EMA. You can punch up IBUY and see what are the top 10 holdings. But it is telling you on a bigger picture that there's some power in S&P 500 growth stocks. That's good to know. I like that. IWM still lagging. I mean, do a compare and contrast. That's picking up a little bit. This really ain't doing much of anything. It's below the 50-day. Be careful with small cap stocks. Done. Dow Jones real estate. Be careful with real estate stocks. I mean, look, you don't have to overthink it. There's nothing there. Stay away for now. Transportation lagging, stay away. Jets kind of chopping around here a little bit. Airlines picking up. It's still above the rising 50-day. That's good to see. It bounced off of it, but we need to see some more power. Till then, be a little careful with airline stocks. Banks lagging, stay away from the banks. Insurance lagging, stay away from insurance. Regional banking lagging, stay away. That's simple. I'm keying on this chart right here, by the way, most of all, okay? Mid-cap, still not a lot of power here. Doesn't look bad on the weekly, but we need to see some power here. Until then, what does it say? It's telling us, be a little careful with mid-cap stocks. Folks, a lot of people really overthink it. You don't need to. Let price and volume guide you. Focus on strength. Avoid weakness. Oil service picking up a little bit, but look at the weekly. There's a ton of overhead supply here. Not a lot of power here, not a lot of volume power. Be careful with oil service stocks. Done. Pharmaceuticals, needs drugs, leave it alone. That's my dad humor joke for the day. NASDAQ 100's picking up a little bit, bouncing here on the weekly, lifting off here a little bit on the 50, above the 50-day moving average. It's the green line, as I cited, and it's picking up, but it's still not a lot of power, okay? What does all this tell us, folks? We're not negative. We're not bearish. We're just saying there's not a ton of great opportunities. We'll find them, and we have found them, but key on that. This will really help you. Focus on stocks now. We're talking stocks, not just ETFs. Focus on stocks within 20% of 52-week highs. Make that one of your parameters on your screens, and you will find strength there. Strength begets strength. Let's continue onwards here. We're supposed to get snow and ice here today, and sleet. It's going to be great, I'll tell you. NASDAQ, QLD, picking up here a little bit off the 50-day, okay? Needs some volume, needs some power. It is above the 50-day, and you can see it had a decent lift here on a pickup in volume on the weekly. QLD. You know what comprises a lot of the QLD? MAXLIST stocks. MAXLIST stocks. There you go. Here we go. QQQ, same thing as QLD, picking up a little bit. Retailing, lagging here, not a lot of power. Be a little cautious with it. Cloud computing shows some power, but you can see fits and starts. It's not a clean and simple base. Be a little cautious with that. Let's continue onward. Silver, stay away from silver. Oh, here we go. Dad humor for everybody. Silver, it looks tarnished to me. There you go. Okay, I had to do it. I'm sorry. Steel, lagging. Nothing there with steel. Stay away from steel stocks. Semiconductors picking up a little bit, starting to show a little bit of strength here. There's some tops here on the weekly. We need to see this really lift up here. Take out the highs, and I'll help you with this. And you can also not just look at SMH, but you could look at some semiconductor stocks, leading semiconductor stocks, all right? By the way, I'll share this again. You want a parameter for a great screen on Market Surge or on any system that you use. Focus on stocks that are within 20% of 52-week highs and over the 50-day. There's two constraints right there. By the way, no low-price stocks. Minimum $10, $12 a share. No thin stocks. They do at least 200,000 shares a day. You take those constraints, folks, and you will find winners, and you will make money, okay? If you buy right and manage them, and don't impose your will on it. And I'm going to say it again in this video, never average down. That'll help you. Here we go. Semiconductors, not a lot of power there. Be a little cautious for that. Spiders still below the 50-day, starting to show a little life here. Needs to get over the 50-day. That's the green line. Needs to get over there. Needs to get over that line with volume. Also note, it is a little choppier here, so be careful with that. SSO, same situation. TAN, solar, lagging, be careful. TNA, small caps, lagging, be careful. Oil's picked up a little bit here. Look, had a big gap up in here too. That's showing some strength, okay? Now, there's no clean entry on it at this point in time, but it's something to watch going forward. Not just the ETF, but the industry group. You could punch up USO, top 10 holdings, and there might be some opportunity there. That's a great tactic, folks. It works. The moral of the story is this: focus on strength, focus on power, don't focus on weakness. Aerospace and defense, kind of grinding up here a little bit, decent volume. It is above the 50-day, it's above the 80 EMA and the 21 EMA. That's a plus. And it doesn't look too bad on the weekly. But what's it going to need? Well, there was selling volume on this bar and this bar and this bar. Just take a look. Watch this. This is something you can do too. This is a great tactic. You can just make the volume. Let's see if I can catch it. There you go. You can do things like this. Go back, go back. There you go. And it gives you the nuances in the chart better, price and volume. You can say, well, oh, look, the last couple of days, weekly volume is picking up a little bit, but it's still less than the weekly selling volume on these three bars. There you go. That is a great tactic right there. I used to teach that at the meetups in IBD, and people liked it. Let's move on here. Here we go. We're about done here. Biotechnology, stay away. I mean, just look. There's nothing good here. Selling volume. Look at the weekly selling volume. Leave it alone. That simple. Move on. Home builders, stay away. Here's a great lesson for everybody. What have interest rates been doing recently? They've been going up a little bit, right? Home building stocks. Direct correlation. Interest rates and real estate, there's a very serious correlation between those two. Interest rates can have a negative impact on housing stocks. And it's common sense. You all know that. And it's reflected in the charts. Tells us to be careful. Move on. Here we go. Materials. How do you build houses? You need materials. Well, look, that's slipping down too. There we go. Communications, not a lot of power there. It is above the 50-day, but we need to see power lift off the 50-day. There you go. And XLE, what does that tell you? You look at this, it's below the falling 50-day. And there's serious selling volume here. Look at the weekly. And again, team, this is a powerful template I share with you. Weekly on the left, daily on the right. You can scan these. You can do this with individual stocks. I do that when I'm running Market Surge. I have weekly and daily side by side, and it helps me see things, make better investing decisions. There you go. Continue with financials, kind of lagging here, still not a lot of power there. Industrials lagging, be careful with it. Technology was lackluster here. Started to pick up into the end of the week, okay? Technology. What's a major component of this? Oh, let's see, there's a little company called NVDA. Oh, and there's another company called AMZN. Things to watch going forward, okay? We're in NVIDIA, so you'll see that when we do the MAXLIST video. But here we go there. Let's continue onwards. But it is improving a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. Technology. Consumer staples, stay away. Nothing to do with it. Utilities, no real power there. Be careful with utilities at this time. Healthcare's lagging. Don't do anything with it at this point in time. Consumer discretionary, it's okay. It's okay, but a little choppy here. Focus, folks, think about this. Focus on simple bases that are easy to see. It's easy for you to see. It's easy for me to see. It's easy for others to see. If a lot of people see it and it starts to trigger in price, does that not increase the odds that, like we agreed, they see it and they'll buy? Isn't that what we want? Flip that coin, okay? I know a chart pattern. I had somebody say this to me once. Pat, this is an IBD meetup. Pat, I know a chart pattern that nobody knows about. This thing is huge. And I said, well, if nobody knows about it, that means that they don't see it. Yeah, that's right, Pat. That means that they probably won't buy it. Oh, I never thought of that. There you go. Here we go. Nothing fancy. Metals and mining lagging. You can see it on the weekly. You can see it on the daily. Stay away from metals and mining. Done. Oil services, oil and gas picking up a little bit. Some improvement. It needs to get over the 50-day. That would be nice. Okay. And until then, be a little cautious with oil and gas. XRT lagging. Be careful with that. You can say, hey, what's in XRT? That's the ticker symbol. Folks, you can just Google it. Top 10 holdings XRT. That'll help you a lot. There's nothing to do with it now, but I'm saying you can do this with any ETF. We systematize things. Okay? Team, I'm going to take a small break. While Owen goes over a few things, I will be right back for the MAXLIST review.
I'm Owen Larson, bringing you this week's Market Edge. Ahead of the trade, your go-to for stock market insights that keep you sharp and focused. Let's kick things off with Pat's ETF analysis. He highlighted the importance of focusing on strength and avoiding laggards. Some key points. Semiconductors are starting to show strength, but we're still seeing a lot of chop in areas like biotech and mid-caps. Gold miners? Still struggling below key moving averages, making them a pass for now. Pat reminds us to keep it simple, focus on sectors showing power, and avoid those still fighting overhead supply. Thanks, Pat, for breaking that down so clearly. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes what not to focus on is just as important as what we do focus on. Now, for today's market lesson, one of the key concepts we've touched on before is the importance of letting price and volume action guide decisions. Recently, we've seen the S&P 500 bounce off an anchored VWAP, with buyers stepping in after a period of selling pressure. This undercut and reversal can often create buying opportunities, but only when volume confirms the move. It's a classic reminder. Avoid guessing bottoms and let the charts do the talking. A takeaway here? If you're scanning your charts, focus on stocks within 20% of their 52-week highs and above key moving averages. It's a simple filter that can help you zero in on true market strength instead of noise. As we turn it back over to Pat, he'll be reviewing the MAXLIST, touching on key stocks like NVDA, which continues to show strong technical action, and Apple, which remains below key moving averages. Pay attention to his breakdown as he highlights areas of strength and caution. Now back to Pat with the MAXLIST.
All right, now let's get into the MAXLIST. First up is Apple. Weekly on the left, daily on the right. Fell on fairly heavy volume 2 days ago, and yesterday, Friday, it even closed down below the previous day's close. It's not showing a lot of strength at this point in time, folks. Be careful with that. It's also below the 8 EMA and the 21 EMA, and the 21 starting to curl down. It's just saying, be a little cautious with Apple. That's all. I wouldn't buy it right here until it shows some power. There you go. There's some guidance for you. Amazon. See this little shelf right across here? It doesn't look too bad on the daily. This is why I look at weekly and dailies to help you too. Look at on the weekly. How did it close on the weekly? Gosh, it closed in the top fourth of its range on a pickup in volume. That's good. That's stuff to look for. Take out these tops here with volume. Could be a potential buy in a good market. There we go. Alibaba, do a compare and contrast. Well, that's above the moving averages on the weekly here, and it don't look too bad on the daily. Yeah, okay. Well, this thing don't look good at all. Right. You don't have to overthink it. There's nothing there. Leave it alone. It's weak. Just leave it alone. BIDU, sister stock to Baba, nothing there. Leave it alone. Google, I like the base here that's formed, kind of a cup with a high handle on the weekly. Also note, I like how it pushed off the 21 EMA and it pushed above the 8 EMA on Friday. Volume's just okay. By the way, see the price alert? I'll drop it down just a bit. Yeah, I already had a price alert set on it. Okay, I'm watching this. If it starts to lift off here, off the 21 day and take out these highs with volume, that may be a buy on Google. Goldman Sachs has a nice little shelf right here. You can see it, and there's some accumulation in there. Now, there was some distribution too, so you got to be careful with that. What does that mean? There was some selling, not a lot of buying power, right, on the weekly, but decent on this bar on the daily. What does it need to do? Take out these tops with volume and a good market. Both constraints must be met. There you go on Goldman Sachs. It's got some strikes against it, so be aware of it. And again, I go back to the weekly. Admission winners, these are the things that we analyze with our members, the VIPs, what to look for. MasterCard, look at, you see these wide bars? That indicates high investor emotions, folks. Be careful with that. You get caught on the, oh, look at it. Oh, it's going. Boom, like that. You know what that's called? What was that movie? Oh, that's going to leave a mark. There you go. Be careful. Not in the key list, and you can see why. Get this out of there. My apologies. Continue onwards. Meta started to lift off and backed up a little bit. Okay, so it hasn't demonstrated that power yet, but maybe it will on Monday. Also note, look at what it did on the weekly. This is why I love this template. On the weekly, it closed up near the highs on a slight pickup in volume. And by the way, yeah, we're prepared. Look, we already have a price alert set. We'll watch and see what happens. Okay, what's it need? It needs a good market. It needs good price action backed by good volume action. All three constraints must be met. And yes, well, you know what we're looking at? We're looking at the MAXLIST stocks. Let's move on. Now, Microsoft, I mean, do a compare and contrast. Well, that's kind of basing, Pat. Well, I ain't doing nothing. Leave it alone. There's nothing there. Believe me, it ain't going to be on the key list. There's nothing there. There's better fish to fry. Netflix needs to, it's basing here. It needs to take out, and I'll draw the line to help you. Take out these tops here. What would, if it does that, it's got 2 days of highs, and it would be pushing above the 21-day moving average. What's the slight negative here? It's below the 21-day moving average right now, and it closed near the lows on Friday with a pickup in volume, met with selling pressure. What does that tell us? Well, there's not a lot of power in it, right? It needs to take out these lines, these highs, and this top, and it needs to do it with really good volume and a good market action. And unless those constraints are met, don't buy it. There you go. It's got some strikes against it. But we're always prepared. NVIDIA, you see this clean and simple base right in here? We bought this a couple of times. This is the daily chart. This is a great lesson. Take it down to hourly. Say, how was it doing when it was pushing through? Look at the volume. Folks, this is a powerful lesson. Right here, that's the same line on the daily as before, okay? It's on the same, it's transposed on the hourly or 5 or whatever time frame you want to look at. Look what it did in the first hourly bar. Look at the volume. That was power. What did we do? Yeah, we were buying it a couple of times. There it is. There it is. Now we'll watch it and see what happens. What's our game plan? Go back to the daily. That was a mistake. Hold on. I'll fix this real quick. I'm sorry. Back to it. I apologize. There we go. I'm sorry. Oh, I want to switch gears and share something with you too. This template, you know, the weekly and the daily, that's all great. Something else that's really important, and this will help you, the colors. I encourage you, protect your eyes. A black background is much easier on the eyes than any other color. And then these colors that we have here, high contrast between these colors and the black background. It allows you to see the chart pattern much better. And another helpful hint for everybody, don't have your bars scrunched up so tight you can't see the nuances of the chart. You see, he's like, I can't tell anything here. Spread them out enough, you find the spot that fits you, that you can see the nuances of the chart pattern. And that will help you. That's a very valuable lesson. I taught that at the IBD meetups for years. And I've used this template, this setup, since the last century. And it works. It works. So here we go. Back to NVIDIA. You can see what it did. And watch, please. Here's the 30-minute. Look at the volume on that first bar. Take it down to 10. Look at the volume on that first bar, folks. It was telling you, hey, that's big money buying me. You might want to take a look at me. Yeah, and we did, and bought it a couple of times. So that's where it's at now, closing near the highs. If this follows through, we may buy more. Another helpful hint for everybody. These are real world tactics. This is Canstum level 3 and 4, okay? For everybody, if your first buy is X number of shares, whatever that is, your next buy must always be less than X. Never buy the same amount. You're pulling your average price up too high, okay? And again, you're listening with a guy, my only source of income was investing profits. I didn't have any other sources of income. We had a stay-at-home wife. We had 4 kids in private Christian schools at the same time. So these tactics, they're very disciplined with them and they work. Okay. And I'll say this too. Please always control risk. All right. Never argue with price. Never average down. That will help you. Okay. So there's NVIDIA, looks good. I'd like this to base here a little bit and it takes off. We'll buy some more. There we go. Now, you can say, what about a new buy here? No, it's a little bit too extended, folks. Be careful with that. I'm sorry I went really long on that, but I want to make this worth your while, okay? I don't want you to sit there where you're done to God, I don't really learn anything. No, I want you to learn everything. Learn things every time we do this. NVDL, same thing as NVIDIA. It also picked up on a pickup in volume. Block, okay? Actually, there's still hope for me because I was going to call it Square. Now it's starting to pick up too. Look at this. Look at the volume pickup on that first bar this morning, Friday morning. Look at that. That's stuff we were looking at, okay? And it marched up. And go back to the daily. We'll watch this and see what it does. Keeps going, buy some more. It'll tell us what to do. Only if it has a good market and good price and volume action. Tesla's picking up here a little bit. As you can see here, this was a good run back in here on the weekly. And then this run in here, we've let it work. We're watching it and we'll see what happens with it. I think we're still in it. Hold on just a second. Yes, we are. Just wanted to make sure. Now, let's talk game plan here. It came down and it pushed back above the 21 EMA. That's the blue line. What will we look for? If it starts to power up with volume and a good market, we'll buy more. Okay? But again, remember what I said. Rules of proper pyramiding. Whatever we own, if we own X number of shares, we will buy less than X. Never buy the same number. Don't pull your average price up too high. And I'll say it again, never average down. Never. That'll help you. Continue onward. Hold on a second. The Netflix. There's the NVIDIA we did. NVDL we talked about. Block we just finished with. And now we go to Tesla. This is where we landed on. And it's starting to pick up again here, okay? There is some overhead supply in it, as you can see on the daily and the weekly. It is picking up, but it needs to show some real power and a good market before we'd add to it or buy. If you don't own it, the same tactics, the same discipline applies. Only buy any of these stocks if the market's acting okay and the stock is lifting up with good price action and good volume action. That will help you. Continue onward. Same thing's true with TSLL. Visa is not doing anything. It's kind of choppy up there. Leave that alone. I mean, look at this. Runs up and fades. Stays here, starts to fade here, runs up and fades. There's sellers up there. Be a little careful with Visa. That'll help you. All right, team. That's our weekly review. Hope it helps you get a clearer picture of where the market's headed and what stocks to keep an eye on. By the way, don't forget about our weekly top stocks to have on your watch list video coming out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're curious about what we covered last week, you can find the link to that video in the top right corner. Remember, these watch list videos are just a small taste of what our VIP members get with the daily key list videos on missionwinners.com. So if you're serious about finding those super performance stocks, consider joining us. Now, I'm curious to hear from you. What are your thoughts on today's market review? Do you have any questions or concerns? Feel free to drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. Thanks for sticking around for the whole video. If you liked it, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And remember, stay sharp, keep learning, and keep finding those winners.